Hey, J-Bros back here over to the porch house. So yeah, I ripped down this ceiling, um, and what I noticed for these rafters, because I had mentioned they were done super poorly, well, the wife stopped by, and we've got a new game plan after I saw the exact design and layout of these rafters. We are going to, being I gotta fix the rafters anyway, we are going to build in some vaulted rafters. So I'm gonna vault this ceiling in here. So basically, in order to do that, I'll try to do a little bit more detail on this. If anybody has a remodel project like this or whatever, knowing that you're not just hamstring to saying, okay, well, it's got to have a flat ceiling back in here. Well, it doesn't. Now, if these were actually manufactured rafters where they had the metal plates and stuff like that, you're not going to go through all this effort. But then again, if this had manufactured rafters and it had metal plates, the ceiling would be slightly sagging in the middle. But being I had got to address these rafters anyway, and yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and build vaulted rafters. So basically, I'm going to start in this spot here with this rafter, because what I'm going to do from this point here to there on the top side of the joist, I'm going to pull a string from there to this side, so that way I can see how much these have sagged. Now that's not going to really matter, because when I go and put my rafter alongside these here, which I probably shouldn't even be explaining what I'm going to do. I should probably show you, but long story short, I'm going to start with this rafter right here, and I'm going to build my vaulted rafter there. Once I get that built, I'll remove this joist here, and you should be able to get a better idea what I'm doing. But once you make one, this is where it becomes easy. Once you make one, all the boards that you make for one is going to work for them all. So basically, you're just manufacturing kind of the rafter. So we're basically dealing with 5 webs. We'll be dealing with the straight down web, the web going up like this, and then the web down on each end. And that's just to sturdy everything up. And of course, as I've already mentioned before, I've got all them free 2x6s. Well, guess what? I'm going to get some free rafters being built here. But that's enough babble. I've got to do some setup prep here to get these ready to go. But I'm going to try to explain as easy as I can how it is to raise this roof. Hey, back in here, I got the one rafter pulled out, and here's where I've got the new rafter soon to be templated in. Basically, what a person ends up wanting to do here, and you'd only want to do these one at a time, because obviously you need the support of these other ones here. But basically, the first method to doing this, we have the center post, which we need. So you put the center post in here, you level that out. Okay, I wanted basically a 312 pitch for my vault in this room. So I measured up, or excuse me, I measured down from the pitch or the point up there, and I came down to my correct measurement here. Then obviously it's pretty easy to find the angle of this, because, well, when you put the two boards and you overlap them, you find center and then square it off. And same thing with down there. You just take a regular 2x6. Let's just say this is your starting board. Let's say this one's square and that one down there is square. I put those boards right there because I got nobody here to hold that side. So when I initially put up my 2x6 on there, and then I held this to the height that I was wanting, and this is basically the height that I was wanting, so I held that here, put a screw in to hold this side, and mind you, this post board is leveled out, went down there, did the marks I needed to do to get those angles and cut that off. Mind you, I had not cut this yet. This is still hanging out long over here, so I can take this and shrink it back to whatever size I need. The main thing was I got those angles cut, and so it can sit on the shelf. So I technically don't need those boards anymore. Then, once you cut this board down to this height, which is basically the center of this 2x6 coming down, it should be, you cut this one, if you did it right, this one should be the template for the other side. So I just took this first board, flipped it over, and cut it. Well, there you go. Perfect right down here. Now, basically what I'm going to be doing here, because I want to join all these rafters together, because I have to build on the side of these rafters here. I really don't have any choice with how this is going about, just because I don't have a plate press and stuff like that. So I want to get these on top of the wall. So these end joists will get screwed into these joists. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this one up there. I'll obviously put some beefier screws in there. These are just kind of typical deck screws for temporary. Up there, I'll put some beefier screws up there. Right here, I'm going to cut this off. And that's where the height I'll cut this 2x6 at. So this one will sit on top of these. And then basically to secure this area right here, this seam, we'll be patching that in with, let's say, a 1 foot by 8 inch chunk of plywood. But before I put that on, because these will just be toe screwed in and sitting here, I'm also going to run another web off of this post here and run it out at the appropriate angle to get some more support. Now mind you, that's more or less to keep these joists in line, because when you got a roof like this, you really don't even need these bottom webs. That's only to finish the ceiling off. With these rafters, or excuse me, yeah, basically rafter boards, at the pitch that they're at, for the most part, they're pressing up there against each other and dispersing the load out. And really, the main purpose of these boards going like this is to actually hold the walls together so the walls don't push out and blow out. That's the main purpose of these. The problem is, as let's just say these roof joists kind of settle a little bit, well, these posts, which are basically just holding these here from sheetrock load, well, they must have not gotten these leveled or at the right height, because they're about 1 inch too frickin' low, or there was just a slight sponge and pressure that had pushed it down, let's just say 1 inch. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at here. But mind you, one quick thing you can do to kind of tell, and this is just a quick observation, this doesn't mean the tell-all be-all. You still got to get up in the attic and see stuff. But like if you look from the outside, look at the peak. If you know a roof is just totally starting to fail and they weren't done right, and this span for this board here going up is too much, in the middle of your run of your peak, it's going to start to dip in the middle, and that's an outside view. Obviously, I already knew this was slightly down because I pulled a string from this end wall across there on top, and I've got about let's just say 1 inch sag that I need to take off of it. I don't really put that too much on these rafters. I just say, well, maybe the wall pushed out slightly, and then that made this push down. But anyway, that's kind of rafter 101 for what I know. But basically what I'm going to do here, like I said, I've got these cut and this cut this off, attach this in with this, plate it from both sides. But before I end up plating that, I'll just temp screw it, but I'll get some webs that flare out to the side. And kind of not really necessary, I'm just going to do it because it's so easy just to add a couple more boards, and why not? And then those will get a plywood plate from both sides as well. So that's kind of where we're at and what I'm dealing with. But you can really see there, I mean, there really isn't much to doing this. I mean, yes, does it take time? Sure. But to go from, let's say, 11-foot ceiling in the middle, which it'll be now, from, let's just say, I think this is a little bit over 8 feet, but just the overall curb appeal in this kitchen is just going to be night and day. Being I was already going to have to fix these anyway, yeah, it's like, why not just add the vault? It just makes all the sense. And like I said, the main reason why it is easy enough to do it on this one is because these are not necessarily, you know, not new rafters. These rafters, how they're set up with the boards are, or I should call it cathedral framing. They're basically supporting themselves because of the pitch. It's mainly these boards are here to hold the walls from blowing out, and it's keeping it together. But the pitch that these are at, it can span that load no problem. But anyway, I'm rambling. But that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'll probably pop back in a couple of minutes after I get a couple more of these. But right now, I'm just in mass production. I'm just going to take these boards down, and I'm going to go cut, let's say, because typical rafters are 2 foot on center, and that's what these top ones are. These bottom ones, they're, because, and that's the other thing is why they're 16 on center. They added extra of these boards because they didn't want too much weight on these because they're just done improper, and that's why it sagged. But I'll put the rafters 2 foot on center, basically what they were. So I need to get 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically only 4 more, but then I'll have to get the end ones on here that I'll screw for drywalling purposes. But I don't have to build rafters per se. I just need to build, or excuse me, cut the end boards. So really, now that I have these cut and I'll get that post up there cut, it's just rinse and repeat. You don't do any more measuring for the most part. You line them up, you temp them in, and away a guy goes. Hey, back at her here. Probably took me about, I'd say about hour and a half maybe to get this first rafter kind of all staged up. So there's the bottom, there's this web, there's the center plate and the center web. I'm gonna try to back up here. I think this turned out pretty nice. I mean, when you're kind of doing, you know, when you're kind of looking at rafters like this here, blah blah blah, it's pretty trashy. But then when you see an actual pro come in here, yeah, I'm calling myself a pro, I guess. But yeah, that's kind of the rafter right there. You can kind of get the gist of what's shaking here. The only thing I might probably end up doing, I'm not going to do it now just for sheer speed, is I'll probably just down web from here to there. That's not really a, what you would call a load structure point too much. It's more of just securing, let's say, the vibration in this bottom one, so it takes it from there to there. Albeit it's not going to hurt to add that for structure, but pretty much like I had mentioned already, the span from down there on this one rafter or one joist, whatever you want to call it, that's supporting itself for the most part. But yeah, there's no doubt this is going to be perfect. And then if I do, which I probably will just because I'll have scrap lumber, run a 2x6 from here to there, and then yeah, we'll be good to go. But that's where I'm at right now. And obviously I'm going to get some beefier screws on some of this other spots like here, you know, because that don't need to have a plate on it because it's screwed into the end of the joist. But I got to get some better screws than these ones. These are just, like I said, I think they're number 10 deck screws, and I'd like to get something a little bit beefier in there. But that's kind of where that's at. And then what I basically have done to speed up the hour-and-a-half project, each one of these should go super quick, and I'll still just do one at a time. But here's the plate for the right side. There's the plate for the left side. I've got all the center ones. They're already all cut. And this is for the side web. So I got 2 side webs there. So I need to do, how many was there again? Yeah, I only need to do 4 more rafters like that. So I've already got a bunch of the stuff already built. This, excuse me, this end wall that I've got headered out here, I'm just gonna make a rafter there just to give it extra support. Not that it needs it, because my header is more than good enough to cover that span, but I'm like, well, whatever. I still need to do an underboard anyway for nailing drywall to. But yeah, I'm like, oh, I'll just build a rafter there just to give it more support on that. But yeah, hopefully by tomorrow, these are all gone and we're looking at something like that. But yeah, that's J Bros out. Please like, subscribe, comment down below.